A blur is a softening effect where the pixels of an image are averaged out to give you a softening effect. So imagine taking a color like this blue here and then being able to take it and break it apart in such a way where you have this color next to a color that's slightly lighter and even slightly darker in some cases to blur out this edge here. A blur can be very helpful when you want to do things like glows. Now, as you can see here, I have a glyph of a TV, and be sure to check out the lesson on glyphs in this tutorial. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a glow effect using a blur so that the screen looks like it's illuminated. As you can see here, I have two layers, one with the glyph of a TV and this blue back here just to accentuate the effect. I'm going to create a new layer on top of the TV. I'm going to lock the TV and create a rectangle right on this one. So I'm going to grab my rounded rectangle tool and I'm going to go just outside the borders of this shape here, just a little bit. I'm going to also fill it in with that TV blue color that we always see. Now with this guy selected, I'm going to go to the Effect menu, Blur, and as you can see we have a couple of blurs in here to choose from. We have a Gaussian blur, a radial blur, and a smart blur. Let's take a look at the radial blur real fast. When you apply a radial blur, the effect that you're going to get is a blur that's going from the center and spinning around or zooming into or out of something. For example, as you can see here, it says spin and now it says zoom. And I can increase the amount by using this slider here. So what starts out as something that looks flat, we're going to slowly get that Star Wars kind of like light speed thing right there. We can also choose our settings from draft, which is pretty mediocre, to good, to best. So I'll go ahead and just show you what this looks like. I'll just hit OK. And I'll zoom in so we can see this effect. As you can see, the pixels are smeared a little bit and they are different colors and they zoom out from the center. Let me go ahead and put this guy back. I'll undo that. I'm also going to zoom in just a little bit more to show you the blur that I use pretty much for everything, even inside of Photoshop, the Gaussian blur. So I'm going to go back to Blur and choose Gaussian blur. The way a Gaussian blur works is it's based on the radius. So it's going to look at the edge of your object and based on the radius you set here, will blur the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and increase the radius quite a bit. And I can also click here to zoom out if I want to preview the effect, if I want to zoom out of the object. Or I can zoom in. In Photoshop, it's a lot easier to see the object. So I'll click OK. And I'll zoom in on the edges here so you can see the effect that we have here. We have a nice soft averaging out of those pixels. So they start off this blue and it slowly starts to add different shades of gray and blue together to give us our blur. I'll undo that again and I'll increase the effect. So we'll go to Gaussian blur and I'll really bump it up quite a bit. I'll make it like 49 or 50 pixels. We hit OK. And I'll have to zoom out a little bit because the effect is going to be pretty profound now. And when I deselect it, we have the illusion now of a glowing light coming out of the TV set. That light that you're not supposed to stare into, and the light that got Carol Ann in Poltergeist in all kinds of trouble. So, as you can see here, blurs can be very helpful for creating illuminated objects, such as headlamps, candles, torches, and the like.